Hello guys, welcome to Vertical Chronicles. Today we'll be discussing about the parts of the mandible. And looking at the mandible, we have the lateral surface and the medial surface of the mandible. Looking at the lateral surface, you can notice this foramen here. This is the mental foramen. Here is the mental foramen. We have the body of the mandible. From here to this point is the body of the mandible. And coming here, we have the ramus. Here is the ramus of the mandible. Like this point from here to here is the ramus. We have the angle of the mandible here, this curvature. This depression beneath the ramus is called the vascular groove. You can notice a small slight depression here. Here is the vascular groove. Now, coming up this way, we have the condylar process. Here is the condylar process of the mandible. We have the head of the mandible and the neck here. This notch here is called the mandibular notch. And we have the coronoid process of the mandible. Now turning to the medial surface of the mandible, we have the mandibular foramen. You can see this foramen here is called the mandibular foramen. And we have the masseteric fossa. Mandibular foramen, masseteric fossa. So coming to this point, we have the mandibular symphysis for attachment of the second half of the mandible. So bringing the second half here, even though it has been destroyed a little bit, we notice that there's this attachment here where these two halves of the mandible stick together. It's called the mandibular symphysis. And on this mandibular symphysis, we have the incisors of the cattle here, the incisors lie here. So the distance from, okay, let me bring this second one. The distance from the incisors, to the first cheek tooth, we have the cheek tooth here. The distance from the incisors to the first cheek tooth is called the diastema. So here, from here to here is the diastema. And we have the cheek tooth here. These are the cheek tooth on this side. Let me take this one away. We have the cheek tooth here, and you can see this hole where the tooth enter. This hole where the teeth enter, we have is called the alveoli. Yes, so the alveoli of the mandible where the teeth insert. And looking at the border, you can notice this small line that borders the cheek tooth. It's called the alveolar border. The alveolar border. So let's take a quick revision of the parts of the mandible. On the lateral surface, we have the mental foramen, the diastema, we have the body of the mandible, the cheek tooth, the alveoli of the mandible for insertion where the cheek tooth insert. We have this tiny depression here is a vascular groove. The vascular groove. We have the angle of the mandible. This curvature is called the angle of the mandible. We have the ramus of the mandible here. This edge is called the ramus of the mandible. We have the head and neck of the mandible, or we have to call it the condylar process. The condylar process, the mandibular notch, this notch indentation is called the mandibular notch. The coronoid process of the mandible. So on the medial surface, we notice the mandibular foramen. This mandibular foramen here, the masseteric fossa. The masseteric fossa. So those are the parts of the mandible. Sorry, I forgot the mandibular symphysis here. Not to forget, I have the mandibular symphysis and the diastema. So those are the parts of the mandible of a cow.